but people are, clogging the network or whatever, and this kind of blah blah. Funnily enough, the EU asked Netflix. There have been so many subscriptions to Netflix just recently. Because regular telly is so boring, I suppose. But the EU had asked Netflix to please reduce the quality of their streams, and they did. They did. But anyway, I kind of thought that was kind of curious, as though the EU just wanted everybody to be watching the BBC, or their pals, But anyway, I think now, fingers crossed, should work. Yeah, I think it is. Right, okay, streaming on YouTube and streaming on Facebook, and coming up in, I don't know, about 4 minutes time. I do apologise, people. Hey, Tanis. Hey, Aaron. Hello, mate. Hey, Miss Patriot. 74. And, should be on Facebook. Please, folks, share the show. Let folks know that we are streaming finally. Had some real technical problems. I think that the deal is that the network is a bit clogged because there's so many people at home now in quarantine. And they're probably, I don't know, they're all down in their own daily chaos. God knows, I don't know. Anyway, right, so do us a favour, folks, let folks know. And I do apologise for being so late. But hey, these things are so surprised. I need to now get my guests back, who were here, bless them. They were on time, we were all ready to go. And actually, you know what? I had a driver issue too. I had a driver problem. I went to start streaming 10 minutes before the top of the hour, 10 minutes before the show. And sod's law.
These people.
I had to reboot the machine. I had to do a driver update, a graphics driver, which is a major driver. Anyway, Dennis, Spain, good evening, sir. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Evening. Yeah, here it's good morning here. Good afternoon there.
Oh, God bless you in Hawaii. And we've got Jay Carey in the UK. Jay?
Flat Earth theory.
Jay.
Yes, Olly.
What's happening? Oh, you need to unmute yourself, Jay. Jay? For goodness sake, get your finger out of your bottom, mate.
I'm not muted.
Oh, you are there. Good man. Okay, brilliant. Look, folks.
Hey, Olly, is it better if we have a headset on for us? Is that better?
Doesn't matter. Whatever you're comfortable with. You look fantastic, and as long as the...
We've had a great show in your absence. It's too bad. We probably exhausted all the topics.
I know. I know you did. You were talking conspiracy. I know what Jay's like, and I know what you're like, sir. Right. Okay.
Conspiracy is just a term, Olly. It means to conspire. Two people to conspire to affect an outcome.
I know. I wasn't using it in a disparaging way. I was using it in a proper way. Right. Okay. I'm going to quick 2 minutes. All of this excitement, and I need a pee, people. So 2 minutes, and this show is on the road. Please share this thing, whatever. Jay and Dennis, if you want to have a chat in the meantime, have a chat in the meantime.
I'm going to just meditate.
We are streaming, just bear in mind, so, not too much swearing. Right, okay, won't be long.
Do we have to hear that music?
I guess so.
How are we supposed to discuss anything?
We're stuck on an elevator somewhere.
I've been stuck on the elevator for 5 minutes. Dennis, you should go to the QAnon page. It's got a huge list of, I think, 157 people so far. And it marks out whether they're traitors, evil, neutral, and a small biography.
QAnon, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with it, but I haven't really, it just comes up on my Facebook page every day at one point someone is going.
website most people are going to is QAnon the pub, isn't it?
What is it? QAnon?
Do qmaps.pub.
QMaps?
Yep. That's not QAnon.pub, because that's the live feed.
Oh, it is.
QMaps is a huge library of information about all these people.
That's great. I think that, somehow the truth will get sifted out.
Like John McCain, apparently he didn't. He said he died of a heart attack, didn't he?
That's what they say. He was one of those people that always turned my stomach, actually.
Well, I mean, he pretended to have a broken foot, and then on the other side, the next day, he was on a different leg.
Why would anyone want to make a career of politics? Just get in there once and get out.
You know what? I apologise. Dreadful music, dreadful start to the show, everything completely screwed up. Let's just get this damn thing on the road.
Okay.
Aye, aye, aye. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good people! Welcome to the Daily Chaos! Running 31 minutes late today. Had abject chaos, yeah, with my router, a driver, download, and everything is tits up. Tips and pieces, that's today's show. Talking about, I don't know, how we can try and ward off this corona whatnot thing. And also getting a little bit, talking about some of the backstory. Some of the mass arrests that have rumoured to have been going on behind the scenes, stateside. Right, okay, so God bless you for turning up. I do apologise for being late. Had some real technical problems today. I think the bottom line, actually, was so far as I did have to do a driver download as well, but that wasn't the reason I was late. The went to go on, and there was all of a sudden there was no internet. I wonder if the internet fell over where I am, because everybody's in quarantine. I'm in Valencia, Spain. Yeah, everyone's quarantined here in their flats, holed up, whatever. About at least 50% of Spain is basically holed up in their flats at the moment. Probably more like 70%. Only emergency workers, maybe only 20% are able to get out to work. You know, the cashiers, the nurses, the doctors, what have you. Everybody else is holed up. And so I kind of guess that there is more of a demand than there has been, generally speaking, with the internet, at least on a very, very local basis. But we got there. So here we are. So please share the show. Going to be fascinating tonight. We've got Dennis Spain from Hawaii, who's going to give us a bit of a on the ground there and what's going on, and a little bit about old Trump and his response and da-da-da-da-da-da. And also with some tips on how maybe we can ward off this COVID-19 thingamajig. And Carey, God bless him, known as the downliner around YouTube parts, for example, who's going to be getting deep conspiratorial, talking about some of the alleged arrests that have been going on. And whilst coronavirus has been used as some sort of a cover for that, I know that Dennis is into all that stuff as well. Hey, me? Well, I'm very interested. We're going to find out. So, God bless you. A bit of a roll call. Jay, first of all, are you there?
I'm here, Ollie.
Good man. And Dennis, sir, are you there, please?
I am, for better or worse.
Oh, brilliant, excellent. Well, I'll try and make it better for you now.
Richer or poorer?
Thank you so much, guys. I do apologise. Let me see if I can actually pull you up so that we can see you as well.
I think the appropriate thing is in sickness and in health.
Till death do us part.
Oh, there they are. There they are. Right. Okay. Brilliant. Excellent. Great. I'm going to sort it all out. Fantastic. First of all, Dennis, Spain. Very confusing because you're not in Spain. I'm in Spain. You're in Hawaii, stateside or Pacific midst, I suppose. What is it? It wasn't the Pacific. I think it's actually big in danger of flooding now because of all those Holly woke tears adding to the volume. How is
God.
Hawaii?
What a pampered class we've generated.
What's the feeling in Hawaii, sir? Have you got any cases there at all at the moment?
And on the Big Island, I think there's been 1 or 2 cases. I'm not sure. One of the problems is that you get so much information that is disinformation that I vacillate back and forth on this whole issue. I was reading a statistic the other day. The Diamond Princess the people in the Diamond Princess were quarantined,
mm-hmm.
and there were 700 of them, and out of 700, there was 7 fatalities. So that's a 1% fatality rate, and that was found in what I don't mean this to be disparaging because I'm in this generation, the geriatric generation,
mm-hmm.
and so one has to wonder, how that's. If you factor in the entire population, that's probably 0.5% or something. It's approaching maybe just the normal flu fatalities. I don't know. It's just so confusing.
The statistics are kind of all over the place, aren't they? I mean, normal flu, it's reckoned, is supposed to be about 0.1%. Some
Right.
people say, or I've heard it said that maybe has increased slightly over recent years towards 1%. This coronavirus thing, again, the statistics are all over the place, but it sounds more like 3 to 3.5%. The biggest issue with
Olly,
it,
the WHO were just called out for lying about that. It's
Really?
actually 0.4, between 0.4 and 0.8.
Ah, really now? Okay, all right. So, bottom line, just want to find out what it's like on the ground, first of all, in Hawaii, Dennis, because we're going all around the world as much as we can. We've had people. Next week we've got Australia, more stateside, and Germany. We've had 1 or 2 reports from stateside already, and from Spain 1 or 2, including myself, of course, and around and about basically. And we're trying to make this as international as possible to find out how everybody's faring and what it's like, boots on the ground sort of thing. So at the moment, what is the kind of sentiment of you and your neighbors on Hawaii?
Well, I think that there's some social distancing going on. I think that's a prudent approach. We're out of the toilet paper in the local supermarket is kind of at a premium. Why,
Really?
I don't know exactly, but and I think that so far, I would say there's been some little panic buying, but in my island, in my town, it's not too bad. The coffee shop, my local coffee shop that I go to and frequent every day, sometimes twice a day, they just now they've closed the eating area and they're just serving coffee, and people are outside at tables that are somewhat dispersed. So people are becoming aware of what's going on, and I think that like I said, I vacillate every day. I think this is the end of the world, and the next day I think, what the hell is going on? This is not that big a deal.
Yep.
So I put together this. I don't mean to plug my website, but I have so much information there that I think might be useful to people regarding the pandemic, so-called pandemic, and it's got a horrendously long.
Yeah, you might be better to pin this one, Olly, on the chat.
Yeah, it's www.letjusticeprevailthoughtheheavensfall.com.
Let justice prevail,
though the heavens fall.
The heavens
fall.
Could you have found a longer domain name, sir?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I always do things like this. It's I shoot myself in the foot.
Let
But it
justice
says what it
prevail,
also says
though
what
the
I'm about,
heavens
though.
fall.
So
Pardon?
it also says what I'm about. So I just the first name that came to mind when I made the website. So it's from a Roman. I think it was from Seneca or from Tacitus. It's not
Also, you've got a lot of good keywords in there.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Jay knows a thing or two about that. In fact, Jay,
That's right.
bless him,
Yeah.
bought dailychaos.news, which I still haven't launched yet. I need to launch that damn thing. But anyway, God bless you, Jay, for buying that domain name for me. He is in the biz and very conspiratorial and what have you. So what do you think, Jay, then, about these? We'll get into maybe what people can do about it in a minute and what have you. We're going to go around the houses quite a lot with this. And this show will be extended as well, if my guests are okay with that, because I'm running late, so we'll stop late as well. But Jay, what do you think then about these figures? What do you think of what Dennis says? One day he's a bit concerned, and the next day it's like, well, what the hell is it all about, actually? What do you think?
I think everyone's starting to feel like it now, because this response just doesn't... I mean, look at Ebola, like a couple of years back. 12,000 was it, the death count. We were all going to die. The mainstream media told us we were all going to die. WHO comes out again with a ridiculous percentage. That's why nobody trusts them, because the guy who runs the WHO is an Ethiopian. He's paid to give them these ridiculous statistics. And then we've got the stock market crash. Do we really think the stock market crashed because of 6,000 people out of 7.5 billion died?
Did it not crash because the markets were spooked, really panicked, and it's dropped at least a third of its prior value? But I would say that's just a correction, actually, that it was way overvalued. I don't understand.
Exactly.
It's because of
2008 was a real crash.
I suppose that it's
2008. Yeah, sorry. 2008 was a real crash. That was it was just covered up. 12 years is the average time it takes for a crisis. So 2008 to 2020, exactly 12 years. And everything's going down. This is the everything bubble now. And
it used to be 7 years when I was a youngster. It used to be every 7 years there was a recession, and they seem to have stretched it out a bit. But basically, you're right. We haven't recovered since 2008, have we, Dennis? I mean, it's all been a complete Mickey Mouse Ponzi scheme economy.
Well, you remember a couple of years ago when we did an interview?
Yeah,
I was like a one-note Johnny about the nature of our currency. Well, in the meantime, I've written a proposed for my country, but it applies to I think the entire monetary system. A proposed constitutional amendment revamping the monetary system, and you can find that also on my website. But I wish people would really take a look at it and understand that we have a bogus currency. It's based on the issuance. The currency is based totally on the issuance of a false debt when people sign promissory notes. And this causes periodic booms and busts. It's just built into the system. And it also causes a tremendous erosion of the purchasing power of the dollar.
Just a sec, sure. Dennis. David Laddie has just called in from Facebook. I suspect he's going to tell me that there are technical problems on there. David.
Your video's not showing on Facebook, mate. Nobody can see anything.
Nobody can see anything on Facebook?
Yeah, mate.
Oh, can they hear? Can they hear the show?
It's just built into the system. And it also causes...
David, do us a favour.
It's called Daily Chaos.
Oh, for crying... Well, it's actually more Nick bloody Clegg, I'll bet. Hey, do us a favour. David, can you please turn off your volume on the web browser so that I don't get echo? Oh, blimey. Okay. Apparently you can't see anything. Look, do us a favour.
That's good.
Folks.
Now I can be more relaxed.
Go.
Yeah, it's a podcast now.
I don't like to be reminded that I'm aging.
Everybody on Facebook, go over to YouTube because it's working over there. I've just put the link on thingy on blimey. Oh, hold on a sec. That's not the link. Oh, for crying out loud! Just a second, people. Let me sort this out.
Oh, every day for 2 years.
I'll tell you, it's a nightmare, and the problem is that we're probably being buggered about here
It's very possible. It's very
I
possible.
wouldn't be at all surprised. Right, okay, that's the link. Let me just grab that, and I'll put that in Facebook. Right,
My son's generation, the millennials, have a great phrase. It's all good.
The show here.
I've got a better one. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Blimey, what a pain. What a pain. But I ever since I started doing Daily Brexit, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that, and through Daily Chaos, morphing into Daily Chaos or whatever, I've had constant problems with Facebook. And even today, for example, or yesterday, they knocked about the number of recommends that there's been for the daily. It's actually the Daily Brexit page that the Daily Chaos show is on, because Facebook wouldn't let me change the name, and the number of recommends just yesterday halved. The number of recommends just somehow mysteriously halved, and this is fascist book basically, with Nick Bloody Clegg, who's the ultimate fascist, the kind of guy that eulogizes Cyril Smith, who's a paedophile. Was and known to be.
Olly,
Nick Bloody Clegg is just a git. He get hold on a sec. He got thrown out of politics by his constituents, Nick Clegg, and he gets a cushy job at YouTube to basically tell us what we need to think and herd us into, various pens so that people can't have a proper debate with people that they need to be talking to share ideas and whatever. Just a complete git. Anyway, right. Okay,
Olly, enough of that.
Hey,
Viscount
St Davids, God bless you, mate. We've had a few technical problems tonight. We started half an hour late, and now we've still got problems on Facebook, apparently. But it is working on YouTube. Sir, how are you feeling? Because you said you might be coming down with coronavirus or something.
Well, I've been self-masturbating.
TMI.
I probably shouldn't have said that. No, isolating. Apologies. I got it completely wrong.
Like that was a mistake.
Yeah. Technical error. Bit like you, Olly.
Yeah, I think actually I am a technical error. In fact, I was. My parents, I know I was a mistake because they told me. Anyway, carry on.
Anyways, I'm on air. I beyond my master of self abuse during this lockdown period, which is rather challenging. No, I was on a conference call selling cigarettes as a merchant of doom to poor countries. So that's my business. And Jay, by way of introduction, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Rudders.
I just want to say, Charlotte Jameson, you heard what you said about self menstruating or something, self mindfulness. And she says, if you need a hand, Rodders.
Anyway, do you know what?
Yeah, cheeky
Sean,
people.
I can't wait to meet you in the flesh. You're a very caring lady, clearly.
Yeah, she's on the front line. And actually, you know what? Before we
front
carry
line,
on,
exactly. Yeah.
Before we
and
carry
Dennis,
on,
it's lovely meeting you. And what a fantastic surname, Spain. Where does that come from?
It's Irish.
Irish.
Yes.
Just like Carey.
Oh, so you're
Irish.
Roman Catholic, the same as me.
I was raised Roman Catholic, but through many transformations, my spiritual path has become what is known as Advaita Vedanta.
Oh, what does that mean?
It means, let's see, it means, I can summarize it in two sentences. I am neither the body, nor the mind, nor the mental faculties. I am beyond all these. The light of awareness is the only reality.
Okay.
That's a very profound statement.
Very new age. I don't think we've ever had that.
It sounds new agey, but it's really it's not meant to be at all.
he lives on Hawaii, Rod. He's probably been doing way too many mushrooms.
Well,
that explains everything.
Do you know what? My only point of reference. I've never been to Hawaii. My only point of reference to Hawaii is Magnum PI.
Magnum PI. Oh no, Hawaii 5-0. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of my
Scotty,
favourites when I was a kid. Jack Lord, book him, Dano.
Jack Lord, spot on.
That's funny because never once in my entire life did I even think of moving to Hawaii, and I came over here with a girlfriend about 30 years ago, and then she proceeded to dump me for a surfer guy, and I was homeless on the beach. But then my life opened up totally. It was an amazing thing.
Go on, and now you've
got
that.
What a brilliant lifestyle choice.
Yeah, unlike that wallpaper choice.
Yeah, I've got to say, in actual fact, the artwork in the background.
Okay. Look, but I want to just read this before I forget from Helen Lasky Smith, and this leads us very nicely into tonight's half of the topic tonight, which is about how we might be able to get over this thing, if actually we need to. Some people reckon it's all a complete myth, but I don't know. We'll come on to that as well. But Helen Lasky Smith, bless her, is on the front line, district nurse, and she just got off a 16-hour shift. Now, this lady, she's not the youngest spring chicken either, yeah? God bless you, Helen Lasky Smith, and please, stay safe. Bloody hard work and incredible. Just amazing what some of these folks are beginning to do. And the NHS is beginning to be a bit inundated. There's one hospital in London so far,
it already
which is starting turning people away. Go on, Rod.
Ollie, I was in Chelsea and Westminster. Mm-hmm. As you know, I'm coming off the booze, and because of a high white blood cell count, I was sent to A&E in Chelsea and Westminster. These folks are as professional as you can imagine, and inundated, absolutely inundated, understaffed, but brilliant. When you actually get to the frontline service, superb. And hats off to every member of the NHS.
When you went in, what was it, Chelsea and Westminster?
Yeah, which is where my daughter was born.
I know, down the Fulham Palace Road. Just off it. Is it the Brompton Road? It's the Brompton Road, I think. The old Brompton. Oh, sorry, more posh. Yeah, of course it would be Viscount. But so how busy was it in there? I mean, was it?
It was bursting at the seams.
Really, really.
Yeah.
What kind of, did you get any idea of why people were in there? Were people wearing face masks? Were people coughing over you?
Yeah. Well, to try and get to the front of the queue, I was endeavouring to cough over them to sort of disperse them. Didn't really work, but lots of face masks, and what can I say? It was densely packed. And the staff are running around like headless chickens, in a very professional way. I had
London is it's got this big time, hasn't it? I wonder, are they going to lock it down before this weekend, i.e., right now, or are they going to allow people to carry on going down the pub acting like idiots?
Well, talk to Tim Martin at Wetherspoons. The reality is, funny enough, if you think of the three biggest cities in Europe, if you include Istanbul has a population of 15.5 million.
Does it?
The second biggest city, and I can't remember what the hell it is, London is the third biggest city with an estimated population of 9.5 million. We're looking at a densely populated urban environment. Now, if you want a pandemic, you couldn't want for a better environment for that virus to spread.
That's right. Okay,
is the reality.
Let me read this story, and then I want to bring Dennis in, and then a little bit later we're going to hear from Jay, and then we're all going to mix it up between everybody. So this is on Breitbart. This is what Helen Lasky-Smith has urged me to read, because she can't be here because she's gone back to the hospital, and she's going to be living at the hospital this weekend.
Good lady.
That is how. That's the dedication. And she's not a spring chicken. God bless you, Helen. Anyway, she says, or rather, Breitbart says this story: chloroquine. It's a drug known as effective against coronavirus since 2005. This is what they say. This is what the district nurse, wants me to read to you. The world economy is collapsing because of the terror and mounting death toll caused by the coronavirus pandemic. But the anti-malarial drug, chloroquine, is effective both as a prophylactic and treatment for the virus.
Prophylactic.
I don't know what that means. We'll come on to that in a minute. It sounds very rude. And the medical establishment has known about this since at least the SARS coronavirus outbreaks in 2005. What the hell is going on? Asked Breitbart.
Did you not?
Yes, just a sec. Yesterday, I reported. this is the guy. This is James Dellingpole. Yeah. Yesterday, I reported the existence of 3 studies, all claiming that chloroquine phosphate had proven effective in treating the COVID-19. This has since been confirmed by a more recent open-label, non-randomized clinical trial in France by Didier Raoult, MD, PhD, et al., completed just days ago. The sample was small, but the results were convincing, according to James Dellingpole, at least. And as the summary, just a sec, let me get this out, because Helen really wanted me to read this, and I'm sure that she had good reason for that. As the summary reports, 100% of patients that received a combination of HCQ and azithromycin tested negative and were virologically cured within 6 days of treatment. This summary report also says, in addition, recent guidelines from South Korea and China report that hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine are effective antiviral therapeutic treatments for novel coronavirus. But the story gets more extraordinary still, according to Dellingpole. It turns out that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC in the States, has known since at least 2005 that chloroquine is effective against coronaviruses, plural. In 2005, Martin J. Vincent et al. Published a study in Virology Journal titled "Chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread." Here are its findings. And, basically background: severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, is caused by a newly discovered coronavirus, SARS-CoV. No effective prophylactic or post-exposure therapy is currently available. Results: we report, however, that chloroquine has strong antiviral effects on SARS-CoV infection of primate cells. These inhibitory effects are observed when the cells are treated with the drug, either before or after exposure to the virus, either before or after, suggesting both prophylactic and therapeutic advantage. In addition to the well-known functions of chloroquine and elevations of endosomol pH, the drug appears to interfere with terminal glycosylation. Okay, right, that's enough of that. I will put the link to this in the thingy. Just the last paragraph, just one possibility, Dellingpole says, as I suggested yesterday, is that there is no money in it for Big Pharma. Chloroquine is a generic... just a sec, Rodders. Chloroquine is a generic drug. That's why Big Pharma's lobbyists have worked hard to persuade governments that there can be no acceptable solution till a patented vaccine is brought onto the market. Even if this happens, it won't be long till after the pandemic is over. Probably not till at least next year. I don't think our businesses, our livelihoods, Our sanity can wait that long, he points out. Do you? Gentlemen, first of all, well, Dennis, have you heard anything about this? Because I know also this drug has been used in hospitals in New York with some success, as I understand, in recent days.
It's a very effective treatment at the critical stages of this flu. But and that's outside my scope of practice. I'm mostly involved in helping people build their immune systems.
It was in Trump's speech last night. Did you not watch it? He actually mentioned chloroquine.
Jay, we can't see your face on screen.
That's because I don't want you to see my face, Rod, is right.
Oh.
No, I've not got a webcam. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
But yeah, it was in Trump's speech last night. He was talking all about chloroquine, and he says because it's in such
whose speech?
Trump.
Right. Was he? What did he say?
He said chloroquine is an excellent 100% success rate so far. It's in massive quantities because we already know what it is, and it's used for malaria. And we're going to make sure every American gets it.
That's interesting.
Jay,
because
what
Trump.
You say is very.
Just very briefly, brief interjection. Because Trump has been fighting Big Pharma. People are all this kind of like, oh, he's going to take the NHS and ruin it or whatever. Rubbish. He actually has been reducing drug prices in the States, for example, as I understand it at least. Tell me if I'm wrong, Dennis. Just a sec, though. Rodders, go on.
Hang on a sec. Jay, what you say about treatment for malaria is very important. What is the additive that went into tonic water to protect against malaria? Hence the gin and tonic for British soldiers serving in India. Quinine.
That's right.
That was then surpassed by Paladrin. And by the way, the drinking club in Tutu Special Air Service in Hereford is called the Paladrin Club. And in actual fact, the indications are that Paladrin that surpassed quinine in ordinary tonic water is in actual fact the measure of cure for this current bloody virus, as it has been for a lot of other viruses.
Look at Rodders connecting the dots there.
I'm sorry?
Look at you connecting the dots.
Well, yeah, but it's been around for a while. I mean, I remember visiting the Paladrin Club back in 1993 when I failed selection for the Special Air Service. And, you know, I said, Paladrin, why the hell do you call it the Paladrin Club? And it's like, well, mate, it's the best drug on the planet, almost for every virus that you can encounter. Malaria in particular, which is what it was originally designed for, which overtook quinine in gin and tonic for you toffee-nosed, masters of self-abuse.
Yes, quinine.
So we're getting a cure-all drug then, a drug that cures all illnesses.
Well, Paladrin is a very effective and very strong drug. You can only take it for so long, but in actual fact, having gone through the process where I was tested for this bloody flu thing, because I'm coming off alcohol and I'll be in a ward with a bunch of other boozers who want to stop.
Yes.
They're running around like headless chickens, and it's like, for God's sake, give them bloody Paladrin.
Dennis, do you agree with my assessment there that Trump is actually well placed, off the back of what Jay said as well about him talking about this potential wonder drug, well placed because he has he not, fighting Big Pharma stateside and trying to make drugs more affordable for people?
Well, that's quite a big topic. Trump is I like the man. He's an enigma, though. Like I said, I'm glad that allopathic medicine has come across this connection to these quinone derivatives. But my main approach is to use protocols that simply build the immune system. And I can only refer people to my website. They can see there's about 10 little different protocols and links. You know, it's only our immune system which protects us ultimately. All we can do is buy time. These drugs help us buy time for our immune system to, so to speak, feel out the pathogen and create antibodies against it. And that requires a period of time. If at the first sign of a cold, for example, I give a protocol at the very first sign of a cold, what you can do to help buy the time the immune system needs to develop antibodies again. Sometimes it takes 5 days to 2 weeks. So you have to really at the first sign do certain things. And I'm not trying to promote my website, but it's laid out on the website.
Dennis, promote your website. What you're saying is absolutely fantastic, and it's very clear to understand.
David, Ike said it yesterday, but the YouTuber actually moved his video down to the bottom of the, it's not being recommended. It got 1 million views last night, and he's basically saying exactly what you're saying, Dennis. Your immune system is the key.
And it's to tell you the truth. I was out yesterday at a drugstore, and I saw a woman there who was a prime target for this illness. She was overweight, terribly overweight, and her color was very grayish, and so there's a certain like on the Diamond Queen, or whatever the name of that was, the Diamond Princess. That was there was a 1% fatality rate there, and this was in a geriatric population with possibly many comorbidities, as they call it. That's the new word of the day. And that's what you have to really realize. Our populations are not that healthy. Here in America, I'm kind of embarrassed, to be frank.
Well, Dennis, I've always made the case that the reason for the high lethality in Italy is that you do have this family structure in Italy and high density populations of people who are at the highest end of the risk range, i.e. in their 70s and 80s. Can you imagine, an outbreak in the gated communities of Florida or some of the gated communities, in California? It's going to be wipeout.
If people don't learn to recognize if they don't learn to recognize the first signs of a cold and start or a flu and start acting on it, we are, as a population in this country, we are really mesmerized by allopathic medicine, and in many instances it does save the day, but there's very little emphasis, and the reason very little emphasis on a holistic approach, because the doctors here are constrained by a legal system.
Big pharma, yeah, big pharma.
Oh, they're constrained. They can only do the so-called gold standard of treatment. Turns out that only about 20% of the gold standard of treatments is actually backed up by science or scientific studies. But nevertheless, they're if you don't do it, see, I'm outside that circle. I'm an acupuncturist and herbalist in traditional Chinese medicine, and I use functional medicine as much as I can. Natural supplements, natural vitamins.
Dennis, quick question. Can
Sure.
you handle penile dysfunction?
Actually, I can.
What type of dysfunction?
Well,
Penile dysfunction?
It's not for me. It's obviously for a friend of mine.
Asking for a friend.
It's never for us. We're always 18 in our minds.
Well, Christ. And what are the basic tips for penile dysfunction? Forget this flu stuff. The old people ain't going to reproduce, so fuck them. Oh, sorry. Penile dysfunction. What's the best way to get a hard on if you're feeling a bit lackadaisical because you're looking after yourself?
Well, in my practice, I would do an intake based on patterns that have been noticed in traditional Chinese medicine over the millennia, actually, and
like acupuncture, that kind of thing.
Acupuncture is helpful, but the main 80% of
Hold on a
traditional
sec.
medicine is actually herbal
Acupuncture?
medicine.
What do you do? Stick needles in your knob?
Well, yeah, it's penis acupuncture, isn't it? It's not the regular.
Well, I was going to ask
nearby,
about I was going to ask about the benefit of rhino horn or tiger whiskers. I mean, how many
we don't
animals
use
kill?
that may have been useful at one time, but we don't use those anymore.
We're going off topic. We're definitely going off topic.
Hang on.
But this is the daily chaos.
No, let's forget
Well, it is.
the daily chaos. I mean,
Do you want to talk about coronavirus or willy problems?
Yeah.
People.
Okay, Ollie.
Let me know in the comments.
Ollie,
Let me know
hang
in the
on.
comments.
In the later years of his professional career, John Holmes was decidedly soft.
John Holmes, what, the porn star?
As a connoisseur of vintage porn, I want to know, in actual fact, how he could have got it back up again. I mean, not from personal experience, because I didn't have a problem with that.
You had a fluffer, didn't you? That's what it's got. You had a fluffer.
Well, one thing that's very important is you don't imbibe too much alcohol.
Oh dear.
Oh, there you go, Steve.
Jamie Mitchell says, Rodders, stick your cock in the freezer. Sam Phipps says, well, this makes a change from Brexit and COVID-19. And David Laddie says, jumpstart your knackers, Rodders. Right, okay. Gonna take a few more. Look, I'll take some comments in a minute. Well, but we should really talk about some of the mass arrests potentially going on. But before we do, and this show's got completely out of kilter, and I got to apologise about the graphics on Facebook. I got to apologise to Nick Clegg because it was actually my fault. It wasn't your fault, Nick Clegg. You are a fascist, and you do love pedos like Cyril Smith. But nonetheless, in this particular instance, it was my problem. It was my fault. It wasn't yours. So I do apologise, even if you are a pedo pal.
Do you know what? If it makes a difference to the ladies, I will get my knob out at the end of this programme.
You're going to get us all banned if I don't, for being honest about Nick Clegg.
Sorry, Dennis. I'm just winding up Ollie.
Yeah,
it's hard enough.
Right.
It's hard enough talking about the issues, and then you do that. We're going to lose the video.
Yes.
Again.
Right. Okay. Good. So, do we feel? Is this? What do we need to do in order? Aside from trying to keep our end up, what do we need to do, Mr. Spain, in order to try and ward off this bug?
Okay, so I'm just on my website right now. I'll just read a few things.
Please, can you tell me again the name of that, because they're asking in the comments.
Yeah, it's a stupidly long name, but
yes,
let justice prevail.
Let justice prevail.
Though the heavens fall.com. One word, no spaces.
Though the heavens
fall. It's from some Roman philosopher or senator or something.
Okay,
you can put it in a Bitly link if you want to shorten it.
Thank you.
If you want to shorten it.
Actually, I don't, because only people who are interested in what I have to say will be persistent.
No. I meant for the show. Or you could just put it in a Bitly link.
No. It's all right. It's there. I'll pin it this time. Oh, I can't pin it. They didn't let you pin
Dennis,
comments
I've got a very quick question for you.
Oh no! Well, stop.
I'm a great supporter of the Innocence Project, which is
where it's great, isn't it?
Do you know? I know some of the trustees and the founders, and do you know what you just said? And let the heavens fall. That is exactly what's happened with judicial practice in America. In actual fact, the number of people who've been found to be completely innocent, who've upheld their innocence, which, by the way, prevents their release on parole. Your website sounds absolutely brilliant and in keeping with I think judicial innocence.
Well, this actually there's a lot of pearls on my website, if I do say so myself. There is the corruption is so pervasive that I can only trace it to the nature of our currency. And I know people are probably sick of me saying this, but a corrupt currency corrupts everything it touches, literally. It corrupts all the professions. It corrupts the legal profession, the medical profession, the teaching profession. The state corrupts statecraft. So nothing. We're simply spinning our wheels, grinding our wheels down to nothing. If we don't address the nature of the currency and how it's been, especially in your country since 1694, in my country since 1913. There's if you want to, everybody senses that there is some corruption that's so deep you can't put your finger on it, and we can go about and with an infinite number of ad hoc corrections, or we can strike at the root, which is the nature of the currency, and make it an honest currency, which a sovereign currency which people can control, which maintains its purchasing value, so that people can have an orientation toward the future and start saving. In the United States, people are panicking because most people live from paycheck to paycheck, and this is engineered. This is an engineered phenomenon by the 0.1 cent financier class.
Well,
and
Dennis, I took your statement principally as a philosophical point of view that humanity has a currency, and in actual fact, as soon as the human currency is corrupted, the rest of society suffers as a matter of principle. But
I want to point out that everything on my website, though, is not philosophical; it's operational. I propose specific things to do that people can object to, and I'm certainly not the final word on anything. But at least I give operational statements that people can take apart and say, well, this is something that one can do. It's really not. It's really not a abstract philosophy. It's a specific thing.
Dennis, I come from the.
Look, hold on. Are we going to talk about how people can try and keep this thing at bay or not? I apologise. No. Well, I don't apologise at all. I'm trying to keep this on topic. I mean, your cock rodders, we could go back to that if you like. But anyway, right. So, Dennis, bless you. Dennis, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to keep rodders from going off topic? I mean, what do we need to do to keep this thing, to ward against getting this bug?
I don't think you can. Right. He stopped drinking, aren't he? He's going to be a bit... well, we're talking about that, but
maybe not.
Are you aware of William? Are you aware of cytokine?
What?
Cytokine, the cytokine storm. Yes,
that's right. Yeah. Well, maybe explain that to them, because it's basically with the immune system, when it can't handle a virus, it
overreacts. It can overreact. That's what usually happens at the end stages of people who are dying from the pneumonia resulting from the flu.
It destroys the body and through inside, especially the respiratory system.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important that, at the very beginning, I mean, you see in Chinese medicine, they never scoff at any cold or flu, because that's the main entry into the body for other pathogens. So at the first sign, one thing you can do at the first sign of a sore throat or chills or fever or in itching in the eustachian tubes is just take some hydrogen peroxide, 3% food-grade hydrogen peroxide on a cotton ball or Q-tip and insert it carefully into the ear canal and let it bubble and itch for a few minutes. And then you can gargle with hydrogen peroxide as well. Do this many times per day at the first sign.
So what do you think is the cause of this immune deficiency? Is it because of the junk they put in the food? Because I've seen rat poisoning.
That's certainly one of the reasons. It's also, we probably eat too many carbohydrates.
Yeah,
because I've seen cereals in the US with rat poison and ingredients.
Yeah,
that's okay. Respectfully, that is veering off topic again. Yeah, what?
No, it's not. I'm just saying that bad. You eat bad stuff, your immune system gets damaged and it can't handle what's coming.
Good point.
You need to increase.
Good point.
You need to increase your immune system. Take vitamins. Get out in the sun. D12.
He's actually spot on, isn't he, Dennis?
On my website. That's very important. That's very important.
This is the first day. This is the first day we've had in the UK, in Manchester, of sun, and I took full advantage.
Take full advantage of that. That's true.
That's
increase
very,
your
very
immune
true.
system.
So,
That's
what about, are there not some miracle spices like turmeric and stuff, Dennis, that people should?
You know, there's really, I've stopped the search for the miracle cure. Actually,
I've heard that.
Hold on, let him finish. Jay,
avoid.
let him finish, please. Go on.
Yeah, you know, for example, to help ward off the flu. None of these things I say can be scientifically, so to speak, validated, but I think they make good common sense, and I think other people much smarter than I can offer validation. But one of the things you can do is just take 2 to 3 tablespoons of unrefined coconut oil, you know, several times a day. You can add it to coffee or tea. Coconut oil has antiviral properties.
That's very good. I suck
Manuka
that
honey?
in the shower. You suck it through your teeth for 5-10 minutes and then spit it out.
Yes,
Go on.
There's something else. Speaking of the shower, there's a guy by the name of Dr. Dan Lee Dimke, and the link is on my page, and he actually asserts that he's found the cure for the common cold and any coronaviruses. And it sounds like a crazy thing to do, but I've been doing it myself, and I think it's made a difference.
What's that?
You just take a hairdryer on low setting and cover the inlet passage and have a spritzer of water, a spray bottle of water handy, and then you just inhale this stream of very hot air into your at the first sign of a cold. You inhale this heated stream of air from a hairdryer into your nasal passageways, and that goes over the frontal sinuses. And because these viruses are very heat labile, they can be destroyed. Now, a lot of physicians will jump in here and say, "Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. You'll dry out the sinuses." No, you just take it carefully, and you don't dry out your sinuses. You make sure you do it for 5 minutes at a time, but make sure you get plenty of hot air. Maybe even you could do the same thing in the sauna, but everybody doesn't have a sauna. You know, the first sign you do this. And in Chinese medicine, that's one of the first things you do. You induce a sweat. It's with sudorific herbals, you know, at the first sign, because it raises the body temperature. But this is a very effective and simple way of doing it with a hairdryer. Almost everybody has a hairdryer, even though some of us don't have any hair left. But you inhale this stream of air, and carefully it gets a little uncomfortable. Then you pull the dryer away and you spray your face so you don't burn yourself or anything. But you do this up to 5 times a day with an hour in between. But you know, for prevention, just do it twice a day with an hour in between, just for 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. I have his link on my website. Of course, Snopes jumps in and says this is bullshit. But you know,
Snopes is a lot of old crap. Never mind Snopes.
Snopes is run by 2 people. One of them,
I know,
and the guy left his wife for a hooker.
Yeah, I know.
And she's the one who does. And she's the one who does the actual checking now.
Yeah, but you know,
okay. All right.
We can only help each other with these suggestions, because, to be frank, you know, by the time you go to the hospital, it might be too late. You know, and so I think that a prudent policy is social distancing. But you know, that doesn't mean that you don't interact with people or you don't go out.
Yeah.
You know, my overall feeling, I know this nurse would probably disagree with me because she's on the front lines, God bless her. But you know, there's something off about this whole response. As a good friend of mine says, she's more worried about the response of the various nations and states than the virus itself.
Really?
Have you ever seen that movie, Dennis, called The Island?
Yeah, that's with Ewan McGregor, isn't it? And
they weren't allowed to touch with it, like social distancing.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
This show is also meant to contain some element of humour.
It is. Go on, buddy.
That's good. Humor is good.
Social distancing.
What's he going to say?
You know, I've almost.
He's going to talk about his cock again.
I've almost perfected by insulting the nearest and dearest with my slightly right of Brexit views. Libertards, you know, can go Fox or Oscar, but there was a point, Dennis, that you made earlier about some of these ancient remedies, which make utter sense. If we look at the Egyptians, we look at Indian remedies from 2,000 years ago, before the birth of Christ. In actual fact, slightly more than 2,000 years, because we're in 2020. But the point is, it makes utter sense. If you're going to heal your lungs, inhale steam, in order to expand the what they call, what's the expression for the cells in your lungs that absorb oxygen? And
alveoli, the lining of the alveoli, yeah.
Yeah. And if you got pneumonia, it's when they seal up and they then contain fluid, which is what kills you.
Yes, and that's where Western medicine saves lives. I'm not putting down Western allopathic medicine at all. There's great advances. But, for example, you could squeeze some lemons and drink lemon juice during this time, 4 or 5 cups a day.
Yeah.
You could add buffered vitamin C powder, to this mix. These are very simple things you can do that you must do, actually.
What about raw? I know a lot of people find it difficult with these kind of foodstuffs, like very acidic lemon juice or what have you. Personally, I really love lemon juice like that. But what about garlic? Raw garlic?
Yes, raw garlic. You can actually crush garlic and then add a little water and cook it for a few minutes, and then eat that and drink the soup that you make with it.
Nice.
This is very important.
It also has the added benefit of keeping Victoria Beckham away. If you do that.
that hideous
always joke.
Yeah. Fun enough, if we look at the Mediterranean diet and we look at life expectancy, North versus South Europe is poorer economically than Northern Europe, but has a higher life expectancy. One thing that I do is pepper. And I think pepper in one's diet, it opens up the arteries.
Cayenne is even better for that. I add cayenne to my coffee.
Well, try drinking Tabasco sauce on the stag.
Well, no, it's not Tabasco sauce, but just 4 shots of cayenne with little chocolate. It tastes great. But it opens up the heart arteries too.
Never tried cayenne pepper in coffee. I might have to try that.
Add a little chocolate. It tastes great.
I had some Worcester sauce in the cupboard, and I had some cheese on toast. Some cheese on toast about 2 months ago, and I had the Worcester sauce, but I have it very rarely. Very rarely do I have cheese on toast with Worcester sauce. And then
cheese on toast
the next day, I was through the night. I was really sick. I was violently sick, and really? my wife looked at the bottle of the Worcester sauce, and it was 15 years out of date. But yeah, so don't do that. Don't do that. But these are good tips. So you're basically saying, Dennis, eat well, but maybe also have some superfoods like.
I recommend 4 Chinese herbal formulas. At the first sign of a cold, but you have to have some experience in how to. If you guys can go to an acupuncturist or herbalist in England, you have great ones there. They would recognize these formulas. I won't say them because it's on my website there, but these are very powerful formulas. I remember when I was first getting interested in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, my wife at the time was a very famous Chinese medicine educator, and I got the worst flu in my entire life. And I said to her, "What the hell? I thought Chinese medicine was going to make me healthier." And she said, "Just trust the body." And she did a point on my legs, the stomach 36 is called, and because this was a chi level heat disease in Chinese medicine. And believe it or not, and I am a scientific person, scientifically oriented, but I actually felt heat shooting out of my fingertips. And that was when I decided to, there's something here that I don't understand that's very interesting. And my fever broke and I got well. Honest to God, I felt like the stream of heat was shooting out. And so, just be open to other things than. I love allopathic medicine, the trauma treatments and the emergency room treatments, and sometimes the surgeries. But people have to take responsibility for their own health. They really do.
Dennis, and I don't say this as a joke. I mean, I put this out on Facebook, which is why I've been banned for 30 days. But apparently, masturbation increases the white blood count.
I don't know about that. I think that as we age, it's more important to control sexual energy.
In actual fact, orgasm, in actual fact, invigorates the body.
Well, it does, of course. I've
noticed
that myself.
Well done, sir. Congratulations for finding that light. That laser beam. But if your wife's out, curing the sick and the elderly, and you sit at home as a master of self-abuse, in actual fact, masturbation, the mere, and I don't say this as a joke, by the way, orgasm invigorates the body, and it increases the white blood cell count, which in actual fact is an improvement of immunology. So in actual fact, for those who are doing whatever they're doing, it's like, well,
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick Clegg will be all right then, because he's a total tosser. Now,
I'm not familiar with these English idioms.
Jesus Jones, Dennis, says, and I've heard a lot of people talk about colloidal silver. What do you say about that?
I think that there's a very famous healthcare practitioner in the United States. His name is Dr. Bruce West, and I highly recommend his newsletter, Health Alert. So this is a
Wasn't
plug
he
for
Batman?
That newsletter. It's incredible.
I was going to say he's Batman.
Bruce West, but that's his real name. But he writes the Health Alert newsletter.
Batman. So he's the bloke. He's the bloke that ate the bat in Wuhan. Maybe. It's his fault.
But he offers a wonderful functional medicine tips in his newsletter, and one of them is the use of the proper use of colloidal silver. I only recommend things I've really tried myself, and to my patients. So I trust this man implicitly, and I think that he's onto something very important. And other people have used colloidal silver quite effectively for MRSA and other problems. So if you go to his website, Health Alert, and you'll find all the information needed about colloidal silver. I would give it an A for effectiveness.
Go on.
Well, better than having a good wank.
For crying out loud, Rudders, you right? Okay, let's.
Sorry, Dennis.
I want to read a few comments as well, but I just got to show you this because it is quite topical from that. They in Wuhan, this sign on the screen there that you can see, it means that your dinner is ready. That's where they are now. Right. Okay. That's that. Very silly. Now let's read a few
Strike
comments.
at the root. Nothing will change until the currency changes.
Now Jesus Jones says that he brushes his teeth with colloidal silver. My word.
Yeah.
Oh no, he says only joking. He says he's joking.
Well,
Phantom
there are
Prophet.
colloidal silver toothpastes.
Oh, can you really? Well, go on. Phantom Prophet. I am pretty ignorant about colloidal silver. Just heard too much bad stuff on the internet about it, but I know silver is a natural antiseptic, so I can understand the theory. It is, isn't it? It's actually far more useful to have a bit of silver in your pocket if the SHTF than it is to have a bit of gold. Is it not, Dennis? Because it does
that's
have.
true. Yeah. Because
Medicinal.
if you have a battery, you can actually make colloidal silver. But I don't have experience with that, so I don't like to. I trust people who have, so I certainly don't. It's worth investigating. We have to investigate. We have to, because we have been programmed.
We've got some amazing comments here, and I want to clarify some of these. And you just entered into a whole new subject there, by the way, about conditioning. That's, in fact, please, Dennis, you've got to come back. We've got to continue this. William Davis is pointing out, please confirm this or deny it, sir. Turmeric won't do a dog turd without black pepper. I've heard that. Is that true?
That's very true. That's very true, and that's that's why black pepper. That's why Europe went batshit crazy in the the Renaissance. Pepper was introduced into their foods because it made the foods taste better.
Yeah.
That probably single-handedly promoted the spice trade and all that resulted from that.
Well, do you know the
ages of discovery?
If you take pepper, actually, pepper is a natural blood thinner. The way that we digest it, it thins the blood, and if you have a particular virus, which may lead to heart disease, having thin blood is very, very important. Aside from the taste of pepper, I'm not entirely sure what the correlation was in those days, but it seems like a natural evolution. I mean, Dennis, am I correct or not that pepper is a blood thinner?
I'm not. I don't really know about that, but I do know that it helps. It does. I don't know about that. I do know you mentioned turmeric. Turmeric is very important, but it turns out that turmeric doesn't really get absorbed very well unless you have it's hard to get. It's hard to be absorbed. So if you go to the Health Alert store, you'll see a product there called Turmeric Forte, which does have 25 to 45 times absorption in the bloodstream. So I think turmeric is and of course turmeric is the premier herb of India, isn't it not? Is it not?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Wow.
There's a reason there's 1.3 billion Indians and 1.4 billion Chinese,
Well, they're just horny.
Well, that too, but maybe the herbs make them horny.
Okay, a few more comments. We've got Amanda Rolfson says you can get the less sugar version, but then what doesn't have sugar in it these days? She's talking to Jesus Jones, actually. She says quinine, and that was an interesting point about tonic water. Yeah, of course, it includes quinine, or it used to include quinine. Does it still include quinine?
It should do if it's pure tonic water. I think Fever Tree still do it.
Right.
But quinine was an essential to tonic water, and that's what kept the British Army away from malaria in campaign in India.
Stav Woodcutter says, heard an hour ago, and good evening, Stav. God bless you, sir. Really lovely to see you about. He says, I can't wait to meet him.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's a character, his old Stav. He heard an hour ago, all pubs close, all pubs, clubs, cinemas, clubs, etc. to be closed after this evening. George Colley says, tonight the government is closing pubs, clubs, restaurants and all social gatherings. Amanda Rolfson says, wonderful how the stars are coming online and giving a sing-song along. Just watch Gary Barlow earlier. Donny Osmond now. How amazing are these guys? Before that, Anthony Hopkins playing the piano. Wonderful. Lovely, Amanda. Whatever rocks your boat, darling. Anne Jones says, we'll all give you a hand. I think talking to Rodders about something rude, some sort of rhythmic tampering with his lower portion or something like that. And she also says, was Obama really born there? Now that's a question for you, Dennis. Was Obama born in Hawaii or was it Kenya or something?
Well, these are good questions to ask, but they just reveal a certain level of corruption, and we should be attending to some operational solutions for the corruption.
John Dennis, I agree with you. I attended the University of Chicago.
Oh wow!
And my understanding, and stop me if I'm wrong, there are two minimal qualifications to apply for election as the President of the United States. One is that you have to be born in the United States. So there's a natural
That's very true.
certificate of birth. Second,
yeah, you do. That's true.
And the second qualification is you have to have a university degree.
That I don't think is true. That's not true.
I'll never get my first quarter semester at University of Chicago, and in actual fact, anyone applying to be president of America has to have, or college degree, not necessarily university, but they have to have an advanced education qualification, without which you can't do it.
Well, I don't think that's constitutionally the case, but I'm sure it's in practice what is needed.
And we think.
But look at the present mess we're all in. Maybe it would be better if we had a millwright or a blacksmith in charge. You know?
Well, I've got to say, I'm a huge fan of Trump, and of course he attended the Wharton School of Business for an MBA, one of the Ivy League.
But why doesn't he explain to the American people the inherent corruption of the monetary system?
I think he already has. But
he hasn't.
The libertards and liberals are not recognizing it because they don't want to, and the media, in actual fact, it was part of the conversation, Dennis, that we had last week. If we look at the consolidation of media and the proprietorship of media companies, they don't want that message out there because it doesn't suit their purpose commercially.
That's for sure.
Qualifications to become a president: be a natural-born U.S. citizen of the United States, be at least 35 old, and be a resident in the United States at least 14 years. Nothing about a university degree.
Yeah, that's
it. You only have to be a resident for 14 years, really?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Well, there you go. Look, okay, let's because we're running out a bit low on time, and I want to cover.
Could I say something once here?
Go on, Dennis, please.
There's a pulmonologist from Germany. His name is Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg. Wolfgang, everybody knows how to spell, but Wodarg, Wodarg. He has a presentation that I think is a very sane approach to the present situation. I recommend your listeners, if there are any, to go to this website.
What a cheek.
No, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean,
no, that's all right. That's all right. It's only our parents that are watching. W-O. How do you spell that? Wolfgang what?
Wolfgang Wodarg. W-O-D as in David. A-R-G. He has an excellent 10 minutes sane approach to this. He's a pulmonologist, so he deals a lot with pneumonia and other diseases of the lung.
Right.
And so I think people should be concerned, of course, but I think this, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here.
Well, on that note, I've got some information that's just come out of Italy. Many people who were diagnosed as coronavirus cases in Italy and then died were almost certainly put on antiviral drugs called ribavirin.
You're kidding.
Saying it may decrease the number of red blood cells in your body. This is called anemia and can be life-threatening in people who have heart disease or circulation problems.
Well, Jay, it's funny you should say that. I had a treatment recently which increased my white blood cell count and distilled my blood. It was a blood thinner. And in actual fact, what generally happens, and it's a beautiful point that you bring up, in actual fact, what happens is that the white blood cells kick the hell out of the weaker red blood cells, which means that the passage of oxygen, which is what the red blood cells do, is kind of essential. It reduces it and makes you much more vulnerable to any virus that enters the system. So the drug you just mentioned is very, very interesting.
Yeah, ribavirin. Says Italian government researchers are combing through patient records to take a much closer look to see whether people are dying from the virus or more obvious cases.
Go to listen to Wolfgang Wodarg.
And we already know in Italy the percentage was the majority was over 80, weren't they? And 1% was over 60.
That's right. And they've had more cases by a long chalk now of deaths than China. They've had half as many cases actually, or getting on for half as many, but they've had considerably more deaths. China's had 3,200 deaths, and Italy has had 4,032 as of yesterday.
Could it just be misdiagnosed and then given antiviral drugs just to get rid of them? And this is actually making it worse.
Well, we're now walking into conspiracy theory.
That's why I'm here.
Know, isn't it? It's so hard to know. But maybe there's been a major cock-up. Oh, okay, let's move on to something else we don't know about, but which is fascinating nonetheless, which is these alleged, rumoured mass arrests that have been going on. Jay, would you like to kick us off with what might be going on?
Well, let's just start with the 2017 December 21st. Trump makes an executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Since then,
he did that when he first got in.
December 21st. Yeah. Well, it was a month after, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, since that time, 537 CEOs have either stepped down, or just resigned, and companies like Disney, Coca-Cola, the huge company MasterCard,
mm-hmm.
just stepping down.
That doesn't mean that they necessarily did
No, it doesn't mean
wrong.
that. No, of course, no, it doesn't mean that. But I'm a conspiracy theorist, as you know. So,
well, you might be right.
People,
I don't know. But what do you think is the link then? And more recently, there's a lot of people that are being, they're denying, like that Ellen DeGeneres or whatever her name is, and I think Oprah as well. The other day, both of them denied that they had been arrested. What on Twitter? Why did they do that?
Well, Oprah's one was a bit strange because somebody, I think it was the QAnons, they call them, the QAnons. They put out a post on Twitter saying, "Is this real?" And then a picture of her property covered in red tape and saying that she'd been taken to, that her place has been raided. And she responded on Twitter, and a lot of mainstream media also made a report saying it was fake. But the interesting thing was, Oprah's Twitter account is always posted from her iPhone. Always says Twitter for iPhone. This particular post was actually Twitter for web. So it's the first time she's on that Twitter account she's actually used a computer. If she used a computer, it might have been a PR team or something. But she didn't actually send that tweet. So, another conspiracy theorist, was she actually in a cell at the time? Who knows? But
hang on a sec. For what reason would she have been arrested?
Well, that's the rabbit hole, Alan. It's
child
abuse. The child abuse situation. If
alleged,
I mention the name, alleged
child abuse.
Alleged. I've got to use the word alleged. I keep forgetting.
Carry on, Jay.
Yeah, you've heard of adrenochrome.
Just to use the word alleged. You can say what you like.
Yeah.
or hypothetically speaking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
yes.
Alleged is a legal disclaimer. So let's run with that.
Carry on. So what are they? You reckon they've been doing what, Jay?
I think it's linked to that adrenochrome.
That what?
I knew Rodders wouldn't know what that is.
Go on. Tell us what it is.
He's a man of the cloth, isn't he? It's a drug made from the blood of terrified kids. And I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like vampires, doesn't it? But there is actually a page where you can make it. It shows you the ingredients. And the theory is Trump has cut off all supplies to the US of this drug. And the only place you could get it was China, in George Soros' lab, allegedly again, in Wuhan. But they tainted it with coronavirus, a stronger strain, which is why all the celebrities we're seeing are getting corona, including Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks, allegedly again, was named, wasn't he? He was named as a child abuser by the guy who just threw himself off a bridge.
That's right.
Shortly
what was the name of that chap?
What was the name of that chap? Was it?
What was the name of that chap?
Jay, naturally,
I can't remember. Incredible bloke. Terrible tragedy that he died. Sorry, go on, Rodders. Go on.
what's being suggested is, in actual fact, that the virgin
A
blood
disabled
of
grandfather was
hold
fired.
on. Oh, go away. Sorry, carry on.
hang on, that the virgin blood of terrified children who've been murdered is being used to feed the stars of Hollywood. I mean, I just find that so outrageous.
Believe me, I do as well. But until you look into it, you would find it outrageous, and that's the whole point.
Well, that's what Savile was
terrified.
doing, wasn't it? That's the whole deal that was going on, Rodders, out Garen. The police dug up the bones of children in Out Garen, that care home, that children's home, which was more like a torture chamber on Jersey, which is where old Ted Heath went with his Morning Cloud, or what his security detail called the Morning Glory, and allegedly, I don't know the truth of this, but Mike Veal, the Wiltshire Police's top cop, he said when he was running Operation Conifer that Theresa May shut down, who also set up the IICSA, the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, and then there's 3 different heads because they all know the people that are being accused and all the rest of it. It was as dodgy as anything. Theresa bloody May. Anyway, Ted Heath was reckoned by... Whoa, let me finish. Let me finish my rant. Ted Heath was reckoned by Mike Veal, the top cop at Wiltshire Police, who was investigating him, who was in charge of that, to be 110% sure, he said, he was, that Ted Heath, the Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister, was a paedophile, and he was reckoned to be going off to Jersey and picking up kids on his yacht, and meeting people like Savile, who was a friend of Ted Heath, by the way, and Savile was known to have gone to this place, Out Garen, on Jersey. They dug up children's bones in the basement of that place, and they reckoned that there were satanic ritual stuff going on there, and that these kids were being terrorized. And God knows what they were doing with that adrenaline. I mean, I hear what you, I'm finishing my rant. I hear what you say, Rodders. I hear what you say, that this is incredible. And several years ago, I didn't believe this at all either. But the fact is that since Jimmy Savile, it's pretty clear that there's been a lot of this stuff going on.
The science is, the younger they are, and the more terrified they are, the more they excrete this thing called adren or whatever. And that's what is extracted. And that's why you hear in Hollywood that they drink the blood of children. I mean, even Mel Gibson said it. And I'm not saying that allegedly, because he did say that. He's actually got his quote everywhere, all over the internet. And that's why he's not in movies anymore. They kicked him out.
Kazzy Mack says that Lady Gaga tweeted, "Careful what you drink." I wonder if she was tweeting that to her celebrity pals. Or not pals, perhaps.
It's like a heroin addiction. Once you've had it, you need it again. I mean, it makes you. It's supposed to make you really, keep your figure, and maintain youth. And
it makes Harvey Weinstein look like a bloody hero in Hollywood. If that's the comparison, if it's a parallel comparison, Harvey Weinstein having touched up a few birds in the Hollywood film industry compared to drinking the blood of
that's true. He does look like it.
I mean, it's like, for God's sakes, what's the world come to?
Exactly what has the world come to.
Dennis, have you researched any of this?
Yes, I understand everything that's being said. I don't. Let's put it this way. I think that any person who is aware that there is something very sinister going on in the world. And, I don't know, we're kind of short on facts, and we have a lot of suppositions, but I think we all sense that something is off. And, I'm not trusting, I don't trust the Chinese, I don't trust my own government. I don't trust the Chinese governments. Government is like a necessary evil, but in fact, government has become unnecessarily evil. And I think that I really, what these gentlemen are saying, I would not be surprised if it wasn't true. Let's put it that way.
It's Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy. By the way, thank you, Amanda. And I've got it here too. This was Isaac Cappy who unfortunately threw himself.
Yeah, he named names. Didn't he name names?
That guy was amazing. There's a brilliant. I've put a link in the comments, and I'll put it on both Facebook and on YouTube. This video is on this webpage, about halfway down. You should have a look because this guy, apart from having been a brilliant entertainer, such a waste. He was talking all about Hollywood paedophilia in some detail, and he clearly was very, very concerned about it. But an amazing whistleblower who died before his time. Now, under mysterious circumstances, apparently threw himself off a bridge. And after what he personally had experienced and seen, according to him, it could well have been a suicide. But you know what? The guy was so larger than life that I find that hard to believe personally. I do wonder what happened to him. But Isaac Cappy, God bless you. He was awesome. That bloke was awesome. Read that page that I've sent.
Yeah, but they didn't say he committed suicide. It just said they actually used the word threw himself off a bridge.
Yeah. There is an excellent documentary that I've watched recently that discusses this topic. There's, I'm not sure the person is. I'm not sure she may go off in the deep end at some point, but it's worth watching. It's called "The End of the World as We Know It: The Fall of the Cabal."
Oh yeah, I watched that the other day. Yeah.
Have you watched that?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of good information.
A lot of evidence for adrenochrome on that as well.
Yes, there is. And, once again, all we can do is bring out these topics because I'm a big believer that I turned it on here. I'm a big believer in that there should be no censorship. Let information flow all over the place, and we'll let us sort it out.
Dennis, it comes back to freedom of speech, which is contained in the Constitution.
Yes,
I think it's the second.
It's the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is the amendment protecting the ownership of guns.
Oh yeah, I should know that. I haven't been to the University of Chicago. Shows you how much money was wasted in my education.
Well, no, you're not from this country, so I don't know. I know nothing about British politics.
And freedom of speech, wasn't it, in the first one?
Here's how I compare. Here's the comparison I make to British politics. See, I've tried for years to understand the hormonal imbalances in female diseases, but I think British politics is even more convoluted.
Of course. Well, don't forget.
I agree.
Don't forget that America was created from Britain, and we've been around a bit longer than America has.
Yeah, the corruption is more sophisticated, or it was until basically Jimmy Savile blew the lid off the whole ruddy lot. Things like elm growth.
Brothers, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Jay, you can ask me whatever you like, sir.
What did you think? Have you seen that video yet about Buckingham Palace with a little kid who tried to climb out the window?
Yes, I saw that myself.
And then fell. So he fell halfway, didn't he? So he didn't survive probably because it's quite a long drop. But the monarchy didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, did anybody say anything about that?
No,
no comment. No comment for a naked child climbing out of the window.
Jesus
Christ. I didn't see that, Jay. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I saw it myself.
Yeah, you probably saw it in that video.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe it. It was some Norwegian guy on holiday, wasn't it, in London, and he had a camera and he was filming it, and the kid looked scared out of his mind.
Yeah, naked kid tied some sheets together and was climbing out of the third or fourth story of. Yeah, but I don't know what that building was, Buckingham Palace or.
Well,
yeah, but Palace.
It's no consolation. But at the age of 2, I still bear the scars today. The babysitter that used to look after me took me to her mother's place, and I fell 4 stories at the age of 2 as,
Wow.
as a
That
nipper.
explains it.
And I've gone through. Yeah, well, obviously that's all the mental strain. But luckily, God's sense of humour, I fell through a tree, which is what broke my fall, and as a consequence, I was admitted to the London clinic. Funny enough, where I was born, and you know, my elbow had gone through my wrist with bone protruding. So
Are you left or right-handed, brothers? I mean,
I'm right-handed, so it was my left hand that
Right.
took all the.
So it didn't ruin your sex life, then? Right?
Well, do you know what? It means it's a different feeling depending which hand I'm using.
We have
Another
somehow
question.
strayed from the main topic.
Another question, brothers. Another question, brothers. Have you ever been to a hunt?
Do you know what the funny thing is? I've been I've been a polo player for about 30 years. I've never hunted in my life. I've been invited, but it just hasn't fallen on the right date.
So you've never heard of, say, I'm not talking about fox hunting now. I'm talking about human hunting.
Oh! I've done that. Oh no, I shouldn't. No. Sorry, mate.
But yeah, that's another real thing.
Well, it depends what
Videos. So check the videos and you can see them. Not pretty. Where they just basically use people that they bought for hunting.
Hold on a sec, folks.
Look, these
Let's see if
people
you
haven't
can
got
hear.
these people that don't have any empathy. They've got no sense of none of the emotions that you expect. So this stuff is.
I got you completely wrong when you said human hunting.
Hold on, be quiet. Oh, be quiet, people.
Whoa.
See if you can hear this. This is going on in Valencia right now. People celebrating all over Spain.
How'd you put up with that?
Ah. 8 o'clock every night, people come on their balconies, quarantined, they come on their balconies and they celebrate the first responders, the people that get the food on the shelves, all that.
You know, can I say something here?
Hey!
So yeah, Rogers, you should look at that stuff. Start
Miss
with that video,
Bethinos.
Dennis, send that video on.
Yeah, the end of the world as we know it, the fall of the
That
cabal.
sounds absolutely appalling.
It does sound appalling, and you will be shocked, because I was. 3 days it took me to recover, but once you've got it, you feel liberated. You know, nothing scares you anymore.
Well,
You expect it.
Well, Jay, as you know, I do quite a lot of work with the veterans associations, and
Yep.
we lose about 3 men a day who decide to say goodbye to life. And some things these guys have seen are so absolutely horrendous. They can't live with themselves. They hit the booze. They don't have a pension, which is worth, anything. They move into their parents' house. The parents get fed up with them because they're drinking too much and spending too much time in bed. They then move to their best mate's place, and when their best mate throws them out, they then decide, you know what, I'll just jump into the abyss. And
You're talking about like people with PTSD.
Yeah, and married folks who go walkabout, they go missing for 2-3 days, and they don't want the family to see the aftermath. So they'll walk into a wood and go and shoot themselves. And we are losing 1,200 people, men, per annum. More people in the Vietnam War, Dennis, were lost to suicide post-war than were actually killed in action. I think the number in action was about 100,000. In terms of those who subsequently claim their own lives, I think we're talking something in the order of about 1 million of all the troops that were sent out. Stop me if I'm wrong.
I don't know the exact figures, but I know of the phenomenon you're speaking.
You normally work 1 to 10, so those lost in action is 1. The post-war stats are about 10 to the 1 who's lost in action, and that's about it. So you got the
war is hell.
Let me just interject.
War is hell.
Let me just interject, please, because we were cut off on Facebook. No idea why, but funnily enough, it was as soon as we were talking about ritual child sexual abuse by VIPs, allegedly, and discussing the links with Ted Heath and Jimmy Savile and the Outgaden care home and the bones that were dug up of the kids, and this elixir that celebs allegedly drink, or the VIPs allegedly drink to keep themselves healthy, young, which is basically comprises of adrenaline of children and stuff like that. As soon as we started talking about that and going down that rabbit warren, we were cut off by Facebook. It may have been coincidental. It may have been because I have no idea. But anyway, so we've been off air about. Hold on, Rod. Hold on. Let me finish. So we've been off about 10 minutes. So if you're watching an archive version, you might be curious or whatever. This show follows on. We've still got Dennis Spain here, God bless him, from Hawaii, who's been telling us in the show prior to this all about some natural remedies for this coronavirus type thing, and just how to be healthy generally to build up your immune system. We've also got Jay Carey here with Rudders and me, with the Viscount and me. We've also got Jay who's been talking all about this kind of like, is Tom Hanks a paedophile, or is it just alleged, or is it true, or what? Has he been arrested? Same with people like Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. I want to get back to that. Because that's what we were talking about. And Jay, I want to ask you, please. I want to ask you if there is actually any evidence whatsoever that these people have been arrested, or is it pure hearsay?
No, there's actual. Well, I don't know. What do you constitute evidence? If it's going to be mainstream media reports, alt media reports, what's the difference? It's going to be, unless you've actually been there to see them being arrested, all you've got to rely on is news media, haven't you?
By the way, Ollie, whenever Jay's name comes up on your screen,
back to front.
You've completely misspelt it, and Jay Carey is spelt like a sort of Ukrainian gangster.
True.
I
don't know why. It's like, because it's another technical issue. So many technical issues tonight.
You blew my cover, Rodney.
Sorry, Jay.
Now I must go back to my homeland.
Very good.
I'd love to do a Billy bonus with you tonight. It's Friday night. I'd love to carry on for a few hours, but I don't think my missus is going to approve of that. But what I might do, if you would like to, gentlemen, entirely up to you, is just leave this going, that you can continue having a chat. Plus, please do not libel us. Allegedly. Go down very nicely, hypothetically, etc. Please do not get this show banned. But I don't see any reason why, if you'd like to, you can carry on, and I'll leave you to it.
Why don't you end the stream, Ollie, and then come back after the watershed when we can actually,
there is no such thing.
I have to say something here. I have to go to work.
Doesn't apply.
Don't forget, Dennis is 8 hours behind us.
Yeah. And this is my work day. I got to go.
When are you going to be quarantined, Dennis?
I don't think.
Sunday,
I don't know. I don't think. I think I'll just walk out anyway. I don't care.
So Hawaii is faring okay, because, for example, San Francisco, I understand, is on lockdown now.
I really worry about California in general, Southern California, because there's a tremendous homeless population. We can go into, I know why there's homeless now, but that's another topic entirely. Yeah. Gentlemen, I have to go. It's been a joy talking
Dennis.
to you.
God bless you, mate. Thank you so much.
How do I get off this thing?
I'll kick you off. Thank you, Dennis.
Appreciate it.
I'll speak to you again, Dennis.
Dennis,
Sounds good. I look forward to it. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Dennis, before you jump off, it's been an enormous pleasure. It really has been a great pleasure meeting you.
Yes, I'm one of the few sane Americans.
No, a good man.
I may say so.
Fingers crossed, we'll have a future conversation. And by the way, I love the colour behind your shoulders. It reminds me, funny enough, of Brazil. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was actually from an artist friend of mine who died recently.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I was quite rude about it.
Good life.
Do you know what, Dennis? The only thing we can hope for is a good life. We're completely irrelevant in the overall scheme of things. But to have a good life, to have good relationships, friendships, dialogue with our fellow human being, un abrazo, as we say in South America, from Las Americas. And Dennis, again, it's been a great pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Just remember, the light of awareness is the only reality.
Do you know what? Yeah, you're
Dennis Bain on mushrooms in Hawaii. God bless you, sir. God bless you. It's lovely to talk to you again, and we'll do this again soon. I hope you and I will certainly be in touch.
Let's do it.
Lots of love to you, mate, and to all of you.
Aloha.
Yeah, take care, Dennis.
Cheerio, sir.
Take care.
Oh, right.
What have you done to the,
well, you two,
screen?
If you want, you can carry on. And if anybody wants to call in and have a chat, you know, I'm very, very happy to leave this running. Just do not get the show banned, Rodders. You can talk about your cock, actually. You can, if you want, you can talk about your willy, because I know you like talking about your willy, but let's just not, you know, I don't know. Let's be careful about talking about other people's willies.
Before you go,
yeah.
Uzbek princess, just came on. Uzbek princess, once one of the world's richest women and a friend of the British royal family, is jailed for 13 years after 1.7 billion corruption trial.
Hang on. Wow. Who the hell's that?
Uzbek princess. Who was that? Let me see that.
I don't know. It sounds like one of the runners in the Grand National.
Friend of Bill Clinton's as well.
Really? Do you think that they're draining the swamp? Do you think
Gulnara Karimova.
Hey?
Gulnara Karimova. That's her name.
Oh, she sounds like a Bond girl. Yeah, well, there was the king of Spain. His dad was the old king of Spain, Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos. Then you've got the new one, Felipe, and they're embroiled in all sorts of stuff going on as well. Yeah. Felipe's had to deny that he's... Anyway, I'll tell you, there's a lot of it about. Go on.
It's almost like to clean the swamp, to drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp. Right, I'm going to leave you to it.
Olly, do me a favour. What you've done is you put Jay's name upside down on your sort of in portrait sort of bit.
Right.
And... you know, Ukrainian gangster billionaire.
I'll do something about it. Hold on a second.
Stop it, Roto, stop it.
Stop it. Indeed. I would not name you anymore.
You won't get your 100-year-old Russian vodka anymore. I cut off supplies.
This should do it. This should do it.
Olly, you got it upside down.
It'll be better in a sec.
I don't know what to talk about now. I'm done. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, but, you know, it was a lot of, you know, someone else was talking a lot. So, you know.
There we go.
That would be Olly, I suspect. Or me.
It was all ears.
There we go.
I'm a shy chap. I never say much. I've never got much to say. So anyway, I'll tell you what you can do though. Is you can say, well, okay. I mean, shall I just finish the show? Shall I just wrap it up?
Just wrap it up. Come on.
Just wrap it up. If you want to go online later on, send me a WhatsApp.
All right. I don't know why all the text gone funny again. I don't know why it's done that. Anyway, never mind.
Chaos. What else will it be?
It is chaos. It is chaos. It's the daily chaos, people. And I want to say, God bless you, and thanks for watching. That hopefully.
Oh, Dam Busters! Hang on a sec. Dam Busters.
You want the Dam Busters? Oh,
yeah.
Blimey. Look, I tell you, I offered them to carry on, but they're just a couple of lazy asses. I would, but my missus will have my guts for garters. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to be good at the moment.
Dam Busters, though.
We're in quarantine, so if I play the Dam Busters, well, okay, I'll play the Dam Busters for crying out loud, just for you, Rod. But Facebook will blank it out, but not until after the show, probably. But they will blank it out because they're like that.
Does Facebook block it out, or is it YouTube?
No, YouTube allow it. They allow it.
YouTube allow it.
Yeah,
I got a strike for a video I made 6 years ago. I got a strike last week.
Really?
You're kidding? Bloody hell.
Yeah, back in 24 hours, Anne Jones. Back at less than that. Back at 5 o'clock GMT. Yeah. Oh, blimey, hold on. 6 o'clock CET. 1 p.m. EDT.
Hang on a sec. No.
What?
We always talk about 5 o'clock GMT because we invented time. Greenwich Mean Time. CET is an unknown expression.
Yeah, silly Central European people.
Yeah.
And 4 a.m. if you're in Sydney, Australia, or so-ish. But yeah, basically tomorrow. I don't know that I'm going to bother with Sunday after all. I might just do this 6 days a week. It was going to be 7, but you know what? I might just have a day off.
Everyone's got to have a day off.
Yeah, well...
So says the good word of the Lord in the Old Testament and the New Testament, indeed.
Exactly, rested on the 7th day.
Yeah, exactly. And as we're not bloody Muslim bomber terrorists, we ought to respect the word of the Lord, which is our British right.
Quite right.
And if we're moving back to Christianity slowly, as it seems we are, then Sunday's the day of rest anyway. So
Exactly.
That's right. And also,
Unless
I'm going to cook a really nice piece of
Liverpool, which means you get
pork.
7 days of rest, unless you're at the welfare office.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see if we can get the old boys back on. Rodders?
Yep, got it.
There you go. Good man.
you can just imagine me doing it.
And you got it to.
There you go. I apologise for that. Cocking up the sound a bit there.
Now, Olly, if you could transfer the funds in the usual manner.
Yes, of course. I shall do that, Mr.
After all, what am I, Russian spy? Here to expose your decadent Western systems?
We can't really play this properly normally because it's copyright. Facebook will blank it if you're watching an archive. You can't hear it. I think YouTube are a wee bit more flexible. Anyway, right. So
you
good
must
night,
talk
people.
over this, Olly. It's a national heritage tune.
It's a what?
A national heritage tune.
Yes, national heritage. Quite right. Yes.
Not like Ode to Joy.
Who would? own the copyright.
Yeah.
Probably Richard Branson or something. Owns half the NHS, doesn't he?
Man who bangs on about laws and doesn't even live on an island with laws.
So, yeah, see you tomorrow. Chocks away.
And bagger plutocracy.
Bagger plutocracy. Oh, Mel Carlo from Germany tomorrow is going to tell us about what's going on in Germany, where they're having a jolly good war in Germany. Not many cases, you know. Seem to be coping quite well. Spiffing, but maybe because they refuse to share all of their testing kits with the rest of Europe. Yeah, did you know that? I understand the EU intervened and said that they had to, and they
oh yes, the EU family.
Oh yes, indeed, yes.
Well, I tell you what,
EU,
let's give a bit more of the Barnes Wallace when it comes to the final trade negotiations.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. We need a bit of Barnes Wallace at the trade negotiations. Bouncing whatnot. Very good. God bless you, folks. See you tomorrow, 5 o'clock GMT. Ciao. Daily Chaos, Olly Connelly, Viscount St Davids, J. Carey, and you. Ciao.
Splendid.
Jay is